You can start now.
Okay. So now I would like to introduce our next honorable speaker, Dr. Shihab Khan. Dr. Shihab Khan has a PhD in structural engineering and is a research fellow at Monash University, Australia. He is an alumnus of NIT Warangal, Ecole Centrale Nantes, IIT Bombay, and Monash University. Dr. Khan has received prestigious scholarships such as Erasmus Mundus Scholarship and has published numerous scientific publications in engineering. Dr. Khan has also actively volunteered for multiple causes, including initiatives like career guidance, material preparation for youth, and a professional mentorship program for early career graduates. Recently, Dr. Khan co-founded Kalam Youth Collective, which is dedicated to community upliftment and currently serves as a VP of operations for Kalam. He has extensive interest ranging from theology and philosophy to history and socio-political issues. So, may I now request Dr. Khan to commence with his presentation?
Hi, thank you very much, Ms. Dulruba. Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Thank you very much, ABP, for organizing this. I think these sessions are very important, and I've been following your work for quite a long while now. So at IIT Bombay, I had the privilege of meeting and working on some projects with Ashif Akram Bhai from the physics department. I'm not sure if he's joined in this session or not, but so I keep myself updated with many of your sessions. So thank you very much for the excellent uh, work that you guys are doing, and especially you, Ms. Dulruba, for coordinating this session with me and for providing such an excellent summary of Dr. Shwetal's presentation. And in sessions like these, you're kind of thinking, I mean, are people really awake? And it was very insightful. So, and the presentation was very insightful. Thank you very much, Shwetal, for your presentation as well. So what I'll do is I'll just let me share my screen. I hope, yeah, this is it. I can you, somebody just let me know if they can see my screen.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, it's just a badly written presentation, but that's how I do. So you know my academic journey. I'm coming from a engineering background, so I guess that was the whole point of this thing. So a lot of the things that I'll be speaking are from my um, engineering experience, even though I also have a lot of friends in humanities and social sciences. My wife is doing her PhD in political science from Monash Uni, so I have some information, but again, I'm mostly, this is where I put my money to, which is engineering and pure sciences. So, so what's not covered in the 20-minute or so that I'll be speaking? Uh, any general information that's available on Google, I'm going to try my best not to cover it. Which brings me to my point. Do your homework well. If you are really serious about getting a PhD abroad, it doesn't matter if it's Australia, US, Europe. You have to do an enormous homework. So so if you're really serious, do your homework really really well. So that's what I would suggest. And what I'll try to cover in my presentation are mostly, some personal insights and some insider info that I would say regarding PhDs and postdocs in Australia. Yeah, that's what I'll try and cover. Why Australia? I think this is a very important question because a journey like PhD takes a lot of effort from the application process itself, even postdocs. So if you have the motivation, right, I think it helps. It helps keep your engine up and running. Australia is very bright and sunny. I mean, it's not like Canada. Sorry, my Canadian friends, but it's very bright and sunny. Even though many Melburnians would disagree with me here, but we get 2 months of summer. Uh, it's very multicultural, and it's culturally sensitive and accommodating place. I think a lot of Indians find that very surprising, because our impression of Australia is that, I think it was around 2010 or something, we used to get this news that, Indian students are being targeted and beaten up here and there. And I think that kind of prejudiced us a lot against Australia, even though, multiculturalism came very late to Australia, but it's still very multicultural. So if I speak as a Muslim, in my university at Monash Uni, I have three official places where I can just go for prayers. Uh, Something that I didn't have in any of my institutions that I studied back in India. The availability of halal food is very easy for me. In Melbourne, especially, that may not be the case in some other cities like Brisbane, etc. But yeah, it is very multicultural. So that's a point that is, I think, very important, needs to be communicated. And the other thing that I would say is that, see, there is something called work-life balance in here. Um, People who are in Australia do get the license to crib about too much work, etc. But where we are coming from, we've seen the kind of slogging that happens at IITs, and we've heard many horror stories from our friends who did their PhDs from US. The work-life balance is pretty good here. So I think that's a very major point in what I would say. So yeah, if you're serious about Australia, I would, yeah, highly encourage you to. Let's talk about PhDs now. So see, typical documents, what you require for a PhD. English language, it's very important. You need to show your English language proficiency. There's no way around it. There's already been one question on it. You have to have this. Uh, if you're doing any kind of immigration, whether it's skilled immigration or whether it's for education outside India, you can't do anything without English language proficiency. So IELTS, TOEFL, PTE, all these kinds of they come there. Of course, you need a very good CV. You may have to write some cover letters as well as a part of your application, or as a part of your emails to different supervisors. So that kind of uh, is a cover letter. So you can't do away with it, but you may also not require it. You may also require a research proposal. It depends. That's why I've put an exclamation mark there. Depends, because if you're applying for any advertised position or advertised postdoc, then your life is simplified. There's already a defined a project for you. But you haven't, if you don't have that advertised position, then definitely you'll have to get together with your potential supervisor and bash together a research proposal for yourself. Any awards that you have received at any level, especially from your educational institutions. Maybe you got the gold medal in your master's or whatever, or department topper award, or any kind of an award. If you have it, keep it. It will strengthen your application. Uh, Publications are a big thing here. Uh, if you have publications, definitely, if you're trying to strengthen your application, try get publications. And in publications, I would suggest go for the Q1 journals. Uh, if Don't go for those predatory journals. I know this is a bit something that is a lot accepted back in India, but this is something which is very serious. It can potentially jeopardize your career. So don't go into any of those predatory journals. Try to get into good Q1 journals. If you can't get into Q1 journals, go for a Q2 journal. If you can't go for a Q2 journal, go for any reputable international conference publication. But have publications. It's very important. Of course, you need a valid passport, which is at least 3 years valid. And if you're also putting your work experience as a part of your application, make sure that you have the work experience certificate, your pay slips, any income tax documents that you may have when you were working. So this is kind of standard for PhDs and postdocs as well. No, no surprises in here. The typical process is, again, you start with your homework. Homework is very important. You need to figure out the universities, the potential supervisors, and you need to have an approval from a potential supervisor. There has to be a supervisor who is ready to work with you on your PhD. That's absolutely critical. Now that PhD could be advertised, or you may just get together with your potential supervisor and draft a research proposal, which is completely new. But you need this, definitely, for sure, as a part of your application process. And then you apply for admission. And usually what happens is there are two separate applications. There is one admission application, and then there is one application for scholarship. So universities have a lot of different scholarships. So typically you do both of them together. Generally you can apply for admission at any point of time throughout the year, but scholarships have specific timelines. So you'll have to think about that. Make sure that you don't miss it. It's very competitive. Getting a PhD here is very competitive, especially if you're trying to target the G8 universities that Shwetal mentioned. There are a lot of very good candidates. A lot of candidates from many countries have hijacked the the admissions process because they understand how it works. And universities right now, the Australian universities are working in very complicated ways. So I know some universities have these different region-wise weightages as well. So they try to limit their exposure to students from one particular region. And generally India and China, they both come under the same region. So you understand how competitive it then becomes for us, because of the I think, I don't know, it's like 40% of human population that's like clubbed into one region that has a quota. So it is very competitive, PhDs. There's no doubt about it. So again, make sure that you do your homework well. There's a lot of homework that needs to be done. There's a lot of effort. So yeah. Just I want to emphasize language proficiency. So some of the content that I'm showing you here is all available on Monash University website. So since I'm currently affiliated to Monash University, I want to talk about, I'm just showing you examples, what is there. So these criteria, etc., they can change, and they will vary per university, but I'm just showing you as a demonstration of how it looks like. So, for example, for Monash Uni, for English, you need to have an at least 6.5 overall in IELTS academic, and this is for most departments. If you are coming from law or arts, then the requirements are higher. And there are a bunch of different tests. One great thing about Australia is that it accepts this PTE, Pearson Test of Academic English. And for those who know, it's an English proficiency test that is marked by AI. And being the excellent Indians that we are, we found ways to kind of hack the whole process of scoring in PTs. So you would find a lot of people who score low in IELTS, they are able to score much higher in PTE. So you may consider giving PTE as your test if you're struggling with English language proficiency. But again, there is no substitute for having good proficiency in English, but it may help you in getting admissions. So that's one thing. Uh, the next thing is, oops, sorry, oops. Yeah, okay, perfect. So that was about language proficiency. Now, the other thing is, that's especially the case in Monash. I don't know about other universities, but for PhD admissions, you need to demonstrate that you have a honors one equivalency, or a something that they call H2AE equivalency. Okay, it is not the same honors what we call like BCom honors, so it's an honors course. So no, it doesn't work like that. So they have their own standards, and when you're doing the application process, you need to demonstrate that your degree, your bachelor's or master's, has H1E grade or H2E grade, right? Now, how do you demonstrate it? You can go to the website. There's a lot of different things. Uh, a quick thing for you is, if your institute is NAAC A level accredited, then you are in section one, and section one degrees are automatically, they get an automatic H1E equivalency for Monash. So again, this is part of your homework. You'll have to go through the university website and figure out whether your degree is honors or not. Does it qualify in here or not? So that's a part of your homework, but this is what it is for Monash. Uh, in terms of scholarships, there are a lot of different scholarships. They vary a lot from university to departments. So if you're if you're trying to apply for a G8 university, they get bulk of the funding, so they have more scholarships. But again, that's why they are more competitive. So there are a lot of different scholarships. One of the most popular ones in engineering is the RTP scholarship, and it roughly comes out to be around $33,000 per year. And this is around $2,750 a month. Plus, you have work rights. You can work uh, and earn money as well. Generally, there are 20 hours restrictions, so 20 hours per fortnight. But right now, I think the government has removed that restriction for PhD students. So yeah, you can definitely also do part-time jobs and earn more. But again, I would emphasize Shwetal's point that make sure that you're not overworking yourself, to the point where your academics are getting impacted. But you do have the right to earn a bit more money while you're studying in here. Plus, these scholarships also cover your health insurance, which is, I think, and OSHC is around $1,000 a year. So your medical needs would, bulk of them, most of them would be covered while you're here as a part of this. Generally, university funds this. If you are married, you can negotiate before you get the offer letter with your supervisor and the university to also fund your spouse and your family for OSHC. It's a long shot, so they may not do it. They're not definitely not obliged to, but I know a lot of people who have been able to get insurance support for their spouse and children as well from the university. So yeah, that also happens. When do scholarships happen? So typically, there are two rounds for international applicants, at least in Monash. So the first round is somewhere around in April. So it would begin in April and then it would end in August. So this would be the time when you would get together with your potential supervisor, take their help, put forward a case that you deserve scholarship, get all the documents and submit your thing, and then you would be notified later on. And the other round is something that begins in September and ends in March. So this is a good time, I would say. Try reach out to potential supervisors before these months, because yeah, it's a long process. So two scholarship rounds at Monash. Let's talk about living expenses a bit. I'm speaking from Melbourneian experience. If you're in Sydney, it's super expensive. I don't know how it's there in Adelaide. Maybe Shwetal can add, but Sydney is super expensive. Melbourne is kind of, yeah, it is also expensive. But if you're looking at your monthly expenses, your living rent plus utilities, electricity, gas, those kinds of stuff, they are the biggest bulk of your expenses. If you can figure out ways of living with some flatmates in a cheaper suburb, so it can range from $700 to $1,400 per month. So the accommodations that the university typically provides are very good and also on the higher end of this spectrum in here. If you're cooking food yourself, you're not eating out, your groceries here, I think they would be around $200 a week. That's like another $800 a month. If you want to add some travel and some other stuff, essentially very essential stuff, I would say $100 a week. So $400 a month. So somewhere around 1,900 to 2,600 dollars worth of expenses per month, and the typical scholarship would be 2,750. So you would be able to live as an individual definitely within that scholarship amount. It would be very difficult to live with a family on that stipend. But I also know a lot of people at Monash who are doing it and they are able to manage it with their spouse. Your spouse would also have the work rights while they are here, and then you can also do some part-time tutoring. So this is very popular among PhD students, definitely in sciences. So as you are doing your PhD, you can get a part-time contract and start tutoring in these different lectures as a teaching assistant. Typically, people do it in their supervisor subject, and then you get paid additional $50 an hour. So that's so if you just work 5 hours a week, 5 to 10 hours a week, that's like an extra 250 to $500 for you every week. So that can help you also. Just one point on how to homework. See, knowledge is only powerful when organized. So organize your whole process. Try to use spreadsheets or go for Notion. Identify universities, their scholarships, deadline, policies, requirements, every single thing. Just write it down. If and identify potential supervisors. Write down their contact detail, their research interests. Connect with them on LinkedIn, and then start tracking any applications that you make, because this is a long process and you will get swarmed in the volume of information and the data that is there. So make sure that it's organized. Just one point on if you're in case you're trying to reach out to supervisors and you're not getting a response, there could be many different things. It could simply be a badly written email. A lot of people, when they don't get response from potential supervisors, they think that, okay, my profile is bad, I'm just not worthy enough of a PhD. uh, while the other issue could be there, which is simply that you've written a very bad email. So there's a lot of different content already available on Google, how to write a good email. So yeah, check it. The other reason could be that actually maybe you need to develop your profile. So try thinking about publications, try thinking about some awards, or get some more work experience. So develop your profile accordingly. Or it could simply be that the prof is just not taking students. This happens a lot. Sometimes people are just not taking students, so they don't reply. So don't take it very personally. It's all right if they're not replying to you. You should expect at least uh, 20 to 25 emails per response, and I would say that that's when your profile is good. That's unfortunately the reality. Now again, a lot of questions were like, will I get selected? So see, you need to think of your profile as a whole, not just that, okay, I have masters, so I want a PhD. No, think of your research outputs. Say, you'll have to, the ranking of your university also matters. Any awards, any scholarships that you may have received matters. Any relevant work experience matters. A lot of these different things, they matter. So it's a matter of profile. If there's nothing you can do to improve your profile, then I would suggest start targeting the lower end universities a bit, the lower ranked universities, maybe you stand a chance there. Uh, if you can improve your profile, definitely go ahead with that. So that's all that I have for PhD. I just have a few pointers for postdocs, because almost all of the things that I said hold true for postdocs as well. Now, the difference between a postdoc and a PhD is that, see, postdocs here are a research job. So when you're applying for a postdoc, you are getting a job from university. That's very different compared to many other different, many different countries. So in Europe, uh, in US especially, postdocs are still very much a part of the academic ecosystem. Getting job in Australia while not being physically here is difficult. Doesn't matter if it's a research job or not. It's difficult. Difficult because there's a lot of expenditure that is involved. So let's say if a university advertises a job, let's say, so the keyword that you're looking for is research fellow. So postdocs here are called research fellows. So if, let's say, there is a research fellow job that is advertised by the university, it uh, they will specify very clearly whether they already need somebody who has Australian permanent residency or work rights, or this job is available for sponsorships. And generally, research fellows, they are available for international candidates. But again, they would try and find somebody who is already here because of the way recruitment happens, because then they have to essentially justify why they were not uh, recruiting any candidate that's already there in Australia. And it's a bit more expenditure for them as well. It's about $30,000 more from the university's end. So your any supervisor wouldn't really want to waste, $30,000 unless they're really happy with what they are getting. So it's difficult. So that's one thing. Postdocs themselves are also generally advertised. You can go check on LinkedIn, check on Seek. Uh, so they would be advertised as research fellow. So definitely having work rights would help. So Shwetal talked about it already, some aspects of it. When she was talking about the skilled occupation list, I will also highlight on this as well. And then what you need to do is just reach out to the PI. Whoever is the principal investigator of your project, reach out to them. Tell them about your profile. Uh, they need, ideally, what they want is somebody who has good communication skills, then who's a bit well rounded off. Uh, they want somebody who's also a very perfect fit to the kind of problem that they are doing, but they also want somebody who's capable of lecturing, who has some teaching experience as well, who has good publication. So but again, these expectations vary a lot, right? So in some research groups, what happens is you get a postdoc, but you also expect them to work on getting fundings, working for consultancy projects so that they fund their own salaries. So that's definitely something that is going to take away your research time. So these expectations vary a lot. It would be great if you can speak directly to whoever is the PI that is involved, like what would your expectations would be. One major reason for doing postdoc in Australia is because postdocs are one of the most highest paid postdocs in the entire world. Um, so this is from Monash University website. So if you start here, right? So if you have a PhD and then you're starting your postdoc, you will start at something like close to 98,000 or $100,000 a year. That's good money, of course. Good money for, it has good money. It varies a lot, what's good. But if we compare it to the rest of the world, salaries are higher here, and that's why postdocs are also more competitive in Europe. Now, I wouldn't really go into this. I was trying to hope. Uh, so I was hoping I could use my very beloved friend, Miraj Ahmed's uh, pointers from a presentation for postdocs that he gave long ago. But you can expect some really good questions when you're being interviewed by the supervisor, the potential supervisor. They don't really want you to be a good fit with the particular problem at hand. They will also test you with new problems. They will ask you to criticize your own work. They would really force you to think out of the box. So make sure that you are preparing well for the interview as well. Like, um, yeah, so that's something that I would say. Uh, yeah, let's just skip this part. We'll share the presentation. And finally, what I would say is see, applying for a PhD or a postdoc is a full time job in itself. So it's a lot of work. What I would suggest is explore alternative pathways as well, particularly if you already have a PhD. Now, one thing is the skill migration, right? So if you have a PhD or any skill, any degree with you, you can go and see whether your skills are in demand in Australia. So if you are an engineer of some sort, you would find yourself in demand. So what you can do is directly apply for work rights in Australia. It's a point-based system. It's competitive, but it's something that you can do while you're in India. It doesn't require a lot of money. You just need two things. You just need a skills assessment. You need somebody that says, okay, your degree, your work experience is actually uh, good enough for XYZ occupation. So, me as a structural engineer, I applied for skill assessment via Engineers Australia. So, I put up an application there, and then I was, certified as a structural engineer. And then you need a language test, and then your profile would be in the skill pool. So once you're in the pool, if they require certain occupations, they will send invitations, and then you can directly apply and get permanent residency in Australia. So for example, right now, as Shwetal mentioned, social workers and educationists, teachers and nurses are in very high demand. So there's a huge shortage. So what happened is there were a lot of social workers, teachers, nurses that were already there in the pool. All of a sudden, this requirement came up, and then the Australian government started issuing invitations, and the points went down. So even though you don't have a lot of points, you were still able to get invitations. So this is something that you should definitely explore. The other thing that you can explore is, let's say you get in touch with a supervisor, he's very happy, uh, but he's not able to give you a postdoc. What you can request is you can request the supervisor to nominate you for the global talent visa. Again, government regulations keep changing related to this visa, but you can check it. And then once you get their nomination, you can apply for a global talent visa. And once you get a visa, you can come here and work. And as Shwetal was saying, you can also, get a directly a lecturer position. That's very competitive, obviously. So yeah, that's also an alternate pathways. Very happy to connect with you all. Please feel free to connect with me. Uh, Send me your questions if you have any questions. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. I don't uh, reply that often, and I would, forgive, take my apologies in advance. It's just that I'm just overloaded with a lot of messages, but I'll try and help you out if I can. Also, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khan, for this wonderful presentation with so much clarity and details. Uh, you have discussed about the importance of doing extensive homework or pre-plan before application, and importance of CV and ethical publications. Talked about scholarships and funding and work rights and part-time job contract while studying, an option of negotiable funding for married scholar as well. And you have also discussed about how to approach the supervisors, how to write emails, etc. One thing that is really interesting that you have talked about postdoc, which is quite equivalent of job in Australia, and challenges and competition of getting one such post. You have given a list of expected questions, which is very beneficial for us. And of course, you have talked about life in Australia and its perspectives. And I really like your humoristic undertone in the beginning in your lecture. That was quite enjoyable as well. So thank you very much. So I would now like to take the questions for Dr. Khan. So I would like to request Dr. Khan to read out the questions before answering it so that the viewers from YouTube channel can get it as well.
Okay, so one question has been repeated. It's Brother Danish Nadeem has a PhD from ISM Dhanbad. He has publications. He's applying for a lot of different, lot of universities in Europe and UK. He hasn't got a response. So, see, in UK, most of the funding goes from UKRI. Uh, so, and in Europe, it varies a lot. There are many European uh, COST cost projects that are giving fundings, but in Europe, funding varies a lot. If you're talking about Germany, there's DARD, there's Humboldt Foundation for Postdocs. Uh, so that's a lot. See, uh, it's my see. It's how do I say? See, you have to be prepared for uh, rejections and no responses. You have to be prepared for that.
Hello, Dr. Khan, you are not audible. Jannat, can you hear Dr. Khan?
No.
Okay, I think there are some technical glitches. Please wait for for minutes, a minute.
Sorry, I think I got disconnected. Am I audible right now?
Yes, yes, you are audible now.
Yeah. So I was essentially telling brother Nadeem, I think. I lost the messages. Sorry, you'll have to type your questions again. Um, that you have to be prepared for rejection and not getting responses, part of the process. Now, what can help you in more detail is, reach out to your seniors. So you are from IIT Dhanbad. You have a couple of seniors in your research group, in some other places, who understand your field. So if you can reach out to some of them who have already gotten uh, postdoc options, so just reach out to them and ask them for a 1 hour time, and so for your application process, and then show them everything, show them what your CV is, and speak with them, face to face, get a Zoom call or something, show them the emails that you are making, and get tips and suggestions and so on. So show them how you are trying to identify the potential supervisors, show them everything. So if you can just get 2 or 3 people who are from your field to sit with you, work with you on this, I think then you will be able to identify if there is some critical mistake that you're making. If there is no such thing, then you just have to keep trying. You just have to keep thinking of something else. And see, I want to also say one thing. You are all very intelligent people, especially if you are applying for postdocs. You've got an uh, you know PhDs from good universities already. You don't really have to depend on a postdoc. Just go for skilled immigration pathway. Canada is doing it, New Zealand is doing it, Ireland is doing it, UK is doing it. Just go for a skilled immigration pathway. You can work in the industry as well. There are a lot of research positions in the industry as well. You don't really need the university and some supervisor to tell you that, okay, you have a lot of different options. You need to think beyond the academia environment. Don't limit your options, yeah, unnecessarily. There are a lot of different options. So yeah.
All right. So, should I read out the questions for you, Dr. Khan?
Yeah, you can definitely read out. Yeah, I got one question from brother Arifullah right now. Is there any age limit for postdoc? No, not really. I know IITs definitely have age limit for recruitments. They don't say it openly, but typically for most IITs and NITs, it's 33 or 35. It just varies from institute to institute, but that's not the case in Australia. But because the reason why I say it, because sometimes you find people who have 10 years worth of postdoc experience who are still not able to get a permanent position, let's say, and then they come to Australia just working here as well. So yes, there are a lot of seniors, more experienced candidates in postdoc.
Okay, so we have few questions from previous session. So please let me allow to read them out. Muaz Ahmed Siddiqui has asked, I have recently completed MCA pursuing career in data science. Are there any opportunities or programs which are fully or partially funded which I must go for?
See, it depends what course you're talking about. Are you talking about masters? If you're talking about PhD, PhDs are generally very, very funded, very well funded, particularly in engineering and so on. Dilruba, do you want to add something? No. Yeah, if you're talking about masters courses, but then I don't think you would find a fully funded master's course in Australia, but there is something called Masters by Research in Australia. It's a very limited program, only a few universities offer it. Uh, if you are able to get a master's in Australia, program, then you would be funded and you would also get scholarship.
All right, okay. We have another question by Mahinur Asad. I am currently doing an MSc in mechatronics and control energy engineering. Are there any chances of getting a PhD in Australia without any research paper?
It's difficult. Can you please read the initial part of the question again? Are they working or are they studying?
Currently doing an MSc in mechatronics and
Okay.
controlling
So if
engineering
you're
something.
doing an MSc, then definitely you should try to target and get some publications. It doesn't matter if they are conference publications. Computer science conference publications are valued a lot, uh, and they're quite difficult also, many of them. So see, it's not as if that you will not get a PhD, but your as I said, it's very competitive. Uh, Having a PhD only helps. Having a publication only helps your application.
Okay. Ab- Ubaid Sams has asked a question. I have done masters in nanotechnology from University of Kashmir and got admission to PhD in the same institution. But I want to do my PhD abroad. What are my chances of getting admission there for PhD? I have good academic records and a research paper under process. I talk to lot of consultancies, but the fees is out of my budget. So how should I get scholarship based admission and monthly stipend?
Uh, See, the agencies, the education career, the agencies that you're talking about, they are good if you're going for a bachelor's or a master's and you don't have a lot of ability to do homework. Uh, these agencies, I would be very surprised if these agencies can play any substantial role in helping you get a PhD. I think at max, what they can do is probably help you prepare for IELTS or TOEFL, or maybe just tell you some basic stuff. So, if you're applying for a PhD abroad, it's very hard to say what are your chances. You just have to try, keep strengthening your profile, and you need to do the process yourself. I don't think any, because I would be very skeptical of any agency who can help you get a PhD. I would be very surprised, and I would be very curious to know what role they can play and what kind of money are they talking about. Typically, if your PhD is not funded, don't even think about it. You need a funded PhD.
Hmm.
What these agents do is, many of them, they recommend universities that are, very compromised. I'll tell you a case. It's very recently that something that has happened. So a lot of migration agents took students from Punjab, Gujarat, and some other states in India, and helped them get fake IELTS scores. And it was a big scam in Australia. It's just 3 or 4 months old news. And then the universities uncovered this kind of a program. What these guys were doing is that they were getting admitted in top universities, which were more expensive. And as soon as they came here, they shifted to a cheaper university, and so on. And as a consequence, many students, many of these universities, and it's publicly available information, have banned students that come from Punjab, Haryana, Gujarat, and a few other states. So you don't really want to be involved in any such kind of a scam. So please protect yourself.
Right, right. So if anyone has any more questions to ask, please write in the chat box. We are at the very end of our program. One more question. So I think you can see the question. Please read out, Dr.
Yeah.
Khan.
So brother Hasnain Ali says that he has applied for 189 and 190, and he hasn't heard back. Uh, uh, you There's a very strong chance. Can you also specify how many points do you have uh, in the expression of interest? 75, right? So 75 would be tricky right now. I think it would be very tricky, because right now the government is not issuing invitations. You know this already, I think, if you are keeping in touch with the news. Uh, but again, these requirements keep changing, and sometimes the government recruits simply to make sure that there is balance in the occupations that they are recruiting. So I would say that, just keep your documents valid, keep your profile valid, and hope for the best. uh, you know yeah, inshallah Ta'ala, if it's decreed, inshallah Ta'ala, it will happen. Yeah. So, if you want to look for news related to Australian immigration, there's actually a very good YouTube channel. I will just share the link of that YouTube channel in the chat. It will be very useful for everyone. Uh, yeah, this one. So, yeah, this is something that I would. So this is the YouTube channel that I would recommend you to follow if you are interested in immigrating to Australia. Anyway, so brother Manish says that he has done his law from Karnataka. Uh, he got responses. You don't know how to write research proposal, preparing for IELTS. I'm sorry, I can't help you directly in this. It's just that it's just too much of time consuming, and I don't have the time for that. But I would encourage you, brother Manish, that you've gone this far. You know, you have a dream. Uh, so writing research proposals is not. It's a skill that you need to learn anyway if you get into a PhD. So better now than late, right? So just YouTube, it will tell you. See, if you there are certain skills that you have to develop if you want to stay in the academia game. One of those skills is being able to read uh, and process a lot of information in English. So there's no way, beyond that. So yeah, that's something that I would say. And regarding IELTS, I would say there's a lot of free content already available on YouTube. I would say just use that and maybe some mock tests. That should be enough.
All right, so we have approached at the very end of our session, so we are not taking any more question. So thank you, Dr. Khan, for this engaging question answer session. I believe it has given us much more to consider.
Thank you
And
very much.
and we are really grateful to you for your sincere contribution to our webinar and all the tips and suggestion you have given to me throughout our communication. So we will definitely work on that. Thank you once again for your time and effort. So now we have approached at the very end of our webinar. I believe our today's webinar has fulfilled your expectations, expanded your knowledge and understanding, and benefited you in some way to your aspirations of embarking an academic career in Australia. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. Now, I would like to invite Natasha Islam to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Hello.
Yes, you're audible.
We have experienced a wonderful and informative session today. We believe that a perfect academic environment has been created throughout this session. We are very thankful to our respected speakers, Dr. Sheetal Vas Pare and Dr. Shihab Khan, for their valuable speech. We are also very thankful to all the ABP members who worked behind the scene, ABP General Secretary Jannaton Firdaus, ABP Research Guide Coordinator Dilruba Khatun, ABP Research Guide team for their immense support and devotion. It is a privilege to be under the guidance and instruction of the Director of ABP, Dr. Asif Akram. Our hearts continue to be thankful and grateful for the marvelous work you have done. We cannot thank you enough, sir. And we are also very thankful to all the participants who have joined today. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for making this a successful event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would just request you to please communicate my regards to Brother Ashiv as well. So thank you very much.
Sure, sure. Thank you.